Welcome back to the chat. So before the break, we were discussing that local businessman who faked his own death and was recently arrested after being pulled over with his wife in North Carolina. So a Jacksonville prosecutor says former owner of Circle K Furniture, Jose Lantigua, faces insurance fraud charges in Florida worth $9 million. And joining us now to discuss this further is our legal contributor, Heather Quick. And Heather, this is a fascinating story, and it's a mess. And the question that we were talking about before we went to the commercial break was the wife. Okay, so as we said, investigators had no idea whether she was involved or not until she wound up sitting next to him in the car in North Carolina, and therefore she had to have known that this whole thing was a sham.
Most likely, and on the way to their luxury cabin, or her luxury cabin in North Carolina.
That she then used from, allegedly, the life insurance policy.
Likely, yes.
Okay.
A motive becomes more clear, it seems.
Yeah. Motive behind what? There's no death.
There's been a lawsuit going on since he, was reported dead, mostly by the life insurance companies. So, yeah, I think something's fishy here, and so they instituted suit, and so the wife, on behalf of the estate, has had to defend that, wanting, that there was no fraud and that the estate should, I guess, keep the money. We'll find out more. How much money did they have? How much money was the life insurance company trying, forced to be in pay up,
right?
Which now they're not going to have to.
And who's going to get priority when it comes to getting money back? So American Enterprise Bank, they gave him a $2 million loan. And so are they going to be in the front of the line when it comes to, if there is any money left, who gets what?
That's right. If there's anything in the business, there's going to be probably not much money left. And then he's going to face the criminal charges as well as his wife.
And she will face criminal charges.
What does she face? Because the law firm that was working with the family has now said, wait, we were duped. We didn't know anything about this. We're stepping away.
Do you buy that, so it's either that, yeah, I do. I mean, I think because of the criminal stuff. There are a lot of times in civil litigation you defend somebody, and even in criminal, but they were in civil court under the presumption that he was dead. And so I do, and plus it's getting messy now, so no matter what they knew, they don't want to be a part of it now. Who knows?
Because could they be
really
implicated in something, right?
He's going to wish he had mad cow disease.
Yeah, really, mad cow disease. Can I go back to that? Wait a minute, can I really get it now? That's what's going to happen.
Right.
So it'll be interesting. I think a lot will turn up. Like, how much did she know beforehand, afterwards?
Yeah, okay. Another interesting case. Exactly. Well, that's going to be key. Another interesting case we wanted to get your take on, this surrounding Robert Durst. We've talked about that on the chat before, but he was denied bail in New Orleans after being arrested. They are only on 2 felony charges, I should say. However, the big charge is out of Los Angeles, where he is charged in the murder of his confidant, Susan Berman. All of this came to light after an alleged confession, because some are saying that wasn't a confession at all. It just happened to be a hot mic in a bathroom. Anyway, this was part of that HBO documentary. So let's talk about this, Heather. First, starting with Susan Berman. And she allegedly had information about his first wife's disappearance, and then she was found dead, right, of a gunshot wound to the head, right? And so they're trying to now say that he was responsible for that, and that's where the charges are coming from.
Yeah, I think we're going to learn a lot. And I watched some of that documentary. There are a lot of facts that have come out on the first wife. He was acquitted for the murder in Texas. Now the Susan Berman, and then they're looking at allegedly another teenage girl who disappeared, and they may end up finding a lot more stuff. Well, no, there was another younger woman. I mean, so many things are now coming up, because obviously he's a psychopath.
Well, getting back to the documentary and this confession, not confession.
Yes.
Okay? I mean, because that was a big deal. Like, oh my God, he confessed, and can they use that statement, I killed them all, in this whole thing? Can they use it as evidence?
Absolutely. Your statements can always be used against you, and that's why it can be so powerful, as long as there's other evidence of criminal activity that links him to it, not just his statements. And there's clearly other facts and a lot of evidence that they have to tie it all together. And then the question becomes, well, was that for TV, dramatized for TV, or was it true? And that's what jurors are to decide. How much do they believe or not? And I think he clearly believes he's smarter and above the law, and probably fully meant to say it. And I think he was on his way out of the country. Isn't that what we were talking about before he got
they said that he was
arrested in New Orleans?
They said he was on his way to Cuba, I believe is where he was headed. So there's no statute limitations on murder, but this other case that he was found not guilty or acquitted on of the neighbor, could they then go back and say, look, we see this is 4 people now that you've been associated with.
Double jeopardy, right?
I mean, is there anything they could do with that one, or do they have to just go back and look at the ones that are still questionable.
Yeah, he's been acquitted, so you're right.
Nothing.
He can't be charged again in a case where he was charged and found not guilty. Now, the facts of those and the evidence that link him to that may be helpful in the other cases, because if you can show patterns of crime in similar ways in which he committed the crime, that can then be used. Normally we talk about, hey, you can't know about prior convictions, prior bad acts, because it'll be prejudicial. But if it's showing a pattern of crimes, it can be used. And so I'm sure the prosecutors will work very hard to get that evidence.
Yeah.
If they can get them, charges brought.
Moving along to another story, that this one is also making a lot of headlines, and it's just unbelievable. So it's out of Colorado. It's a 12-year-old girl. She's accused of trying to kill her mother with bleach after the mother took away her iPhone, allegedly. And the mother was treated at the hospital. The young girl was arrested on 2 counts of murder, 12 years old. Where do you see this going?
Nowhere good, obviously.
No kidding.
It's not off to a good start to be in juvenile court with felony charges of a 12-year-old girl. And then I just see so much dysfunction. I'm certain Department of Children and Families ought to be involved, should be involved, because obviously something is awry here to cause, for a child to act out in that way. And then for the mother then to report it to the police.
Well, she was in the hospital, so obviously if they're asking how are you getting bleach in you, she's sharing this. Is there any way that she could, I don't want to say that she should change her mind, but if she decided, I didn't realize it was going to be, because this is first degree attempted, says no, let's hold the kid in juvie for a while and get family services involved and then see what happens. Is there any way that she could undo what has gone down?
No, most likely not, because once you're entered the criminal justice system, then it's up to the prosecutors. They have her statements, they have that evidence. If they choose to move forward, they don't need her cooperation. They can require her to come testify, and that happens all the time because many people don't want to testify. Victims even say, oh, it's okay. So it's really out of your hands once they've become involved. And if they feel the need, public safety, obviously this is a troubled home, where are they going to go with that?
She is 12 years old, which always, when you have somebody that young, you think, does she really understand the consequences? I mean, mom didn't let me use the iPhone, so I'm going to bleach, I mean, like, in her head, like, was she really trying to kill her, or is she just...
Was it she was trying to scare her and using tactics to get her iPhone back? I mean, yeah,
and
because as a 12-year-old, did she
exactly what was the intent? And that's a big part of the proof element as far as what was her intent. And her age certainly comes into factor. So it'll stay in juvenile court, and whether she'll get counseling, but it's very troubling. Where do you even get an idea like that? What is she watching? What's going on?
What dysfunction was already pre-existing to lead to that kind of war?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So really quick before we go, because we talked about it before the commercial break, we all know that the divorces can get pretty ugly. But what one couple is going through seems extreme. So neurosurgeon Dr. Eric Braverman estimates he's spent over $4.5 million and counting on his divorce battle from his third wife, and now he could even lose literally his underwear. The prominent doc was ordered by a judge to, quote, turn over his personal property to a receiver last month. He was told by his legal team that is defined as anything and everything, including your underwear. Why underwear? Like, is there something about those underwear?
Boxers or briefs?
Right. Is it the? I mean, is that?
I don't want to know.
Are they fancy pants?
Let me tell you why.
Because
Because he's hiding. He's hiding money and assets
in his
and that's why he's
underwear
getting in trouble.
drawer.
And it may be, and who knows what kind of underwear he's buying, and he's hiding stuff.
So it
and
has
that's
nothing
why,
to do with like allegations about maybe we would use that underwear in evidence.
No, it means you're being sneaky, you're hiding your assets and money and something. So now the judge is like, you know what? We're going to just take it all and see what we can find.
Well, because he was arrested.
That's a surprise.
So it's like, and
Underwear. What they're saying, I guess there's just no exceptions at this point. Whatever we've gone through,
I
you just
think
have
they're
to hand
making
it
a
all
point.
over.
All right, dude, you think you're smarter than the legal system and you're going to hide stuff. You know what? Let's just take it all the way down
And so-
to the underpants.
Right.
But wait, he
No.
was caught stealing documents about the custody, right? Prior to this happening, he was arrested and brought
There's
up on
a
that.
reason
So yeah,
it
he's
cost
sneaky.
$4 million. Don't act like, oh, I'm so innocent. I've had nothing to do
he's
with
a
it.
little
Give me a
sneaky
break.
sneakerton.
I
he's
think
gonna have to like turn over, like they say, and the kitchen sink. So they'll have to like turn in the kitchen sink too, from the
Socks
underwear
and
to
the dirty
Is he
underwear.
going to have to turn in socks,
Ew.
do you think, too?
If there's jewels and money, and special coins, maybe
So the jewels
I'd want to
in
see
his
them all.
underwear then.
So
is
it's
what
more
you're
maybe
saying.
figurative
about
than
that.
literal, but it's the point I'm sure the judge
I want to
is
see what
trying
the
to make.
court does with all those
I do
things.
too.
now.
I
And
see.
Exhibit A.
Big
eBay,
garage
baby.
sale.
That's right.
All right, well, thank you, Heather. We appreciate you, as always. Interesting topics. And if you have any questions or you need any legal advice, you can check out the Quick Law Group's website, which is quicklawgroup.com. Well, coming up next on the chat, the founder of One Spark Festival, Elton Rivas, is here, and he's sharing some of the new additions to this year's event and how you can get involved. But first, more cat videos with hashtag Cat Week. Watch.